Yo, what is going on, guys? Pothead here, and today, come back at you with another video. I know, you couldn't see it coming. It's coming. Today we're talking about the fallout of the situation that happened in my last video. If you haven't watched that video, you need to go watch it. I think it's one of the better videos ever made. It is long, sorry about that. There's a lot of shit I had to cover in it, but it's worth the watch. We left off with kind of the end of the night where my friend had broken into a dispensary with a rock. We had both relapsed. He almost went to jail to smoke weed for a night. So that's what the vibes are. So there are a few more things that happened towards the end of the night that I felt were less critical to the story, but they all do play into this part. Let's just pick it up. So by the end, like I'd say the last like 2 hours-ish of smoking weed, I was paranoid, freaking out. I didn't know what the fuck to do. So I was like, okay, like I gotta open up the windows. I gotta put these fans on these windows. Like I gotta get this weed smell out of here, because we had been smoking actual weed, fucking dab pens, all this shit. Like it smelled like weed in here, and I knew they were gonna come in and give us our morning meds in the morning. So I was still naive to the idea like I might be able to get out of this. You know, I leave all the windows open. We had the showers running. Like it was ridiculous. Like so fucking dumb. On top of all that, I take all the weed that he had stolen. I put it in like a paper bag from the grocery store, and I walk like 3 blocks down and put it in some random person's trash can. I'm like, okay, whew, it's gone. You know, at least if they come search the room for anything, like we don't have it, we have plausible deniability. What I didn't realize is how fast the fucking security camera photos that I showed you guys in the last video would have been circulated around in this tiny little town. We wake up. I couldn't fall asleep the whole night. Like I was just on my phone, like terrified essentially of what I was going into. I was having like the worst panic attack. Eventually I just take my night meds and I fall asleep for like 2 hours or something. But I had fell asleep watching Netflix on my phone, and I hadn't gotten enough sleep to where my Seroquel had worn off. So I was super groggy, and they were kind of like, I heard them knocking for a second. I was like sleep paralysis essentially. And so they come in to give me my morning meds, and my phone is right there. And they're like, what the fuck is this still doing here? Because while you were in the COVID place, the apartment, you got your phone for 2 hours out of the day, but staff would come and bring it to you, and then they'd take it away after the 2 hours. So it looked like I still had a phone. I was like, oh yeah, the tech forgot to come back last night. And they're like, well, is that true? Like, if I go ask him, is he going to confirm that? And I was like, yeah, just like take this and put it in my name on my box, because I didn't have an actual phone there. I only had this burner phone. But I was like, no, this is my phone. So they took the phone, put it back away. I was like, well, now I don't have a fucking phone. God damn it. Raw dog, this day-long panic attack, just walking around awkward as fuck. Like, we're trying to, like, watch a movie, like, take our mind off of it at all. Jackson's low-key freaking out a little bit. He didn't let on, but he was just, like, sitting in his bed all day, like, just listening to music. And so I'm just, like, alone trying to watch movies and stuff, like, blah, blah. And eventually I'm like, I just can't sit in here alone. So I go up to the room where the rest of the people were, because there was like 4 apartments, I think, in this COVID kind of isolation block, if you will. And I'm just like, what are you guys doing? Like, play some board games so I can watch a movie, whatever. Yeah, so I somehow get through this entire day. I'm like, wow, like we got through the day, nothing happened, like tight, I'm gonna go to sleep. I sit down on the couch, watch some Netflix, try and fall asleep, and around 10 p.m. like someone starts beating the door down, like knocking on it so hard. I'm like, is this the fucking cops right now? Like, what the fuck is going on? And the staff comes in, and they're like, so do you want to tell us, or do you want us to tell you? And I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, we know you robbed the dispensary. I'm like, me? Dog, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't do anything. They're like, come on, like, we know, like, blah, blah. I'm like, there's security camera footage. And I was like, oh, fuck. Because I didn't really, like, I don't know why I didn't think about this, but I thought that they would, like, give the security, like, the police would have to, I don't know why I didn't realize the security camera footage would have been made available immediately. It's their security camera. They can get the footage off whatever they want to. I'm freaking out. And Jackson comes in and he's like, no, he didn't do anything. It was all me. I was like, whoa. Like, I kind of knew he would take, you know, responsibility for it, but like you never really know. You don't know someone's character until you do, you know. So he took it. They're like, all right, well, we're still gonna have to take both of you into, like, we're taking him out of the program essentially. That I didn't, like, they didn't say it with that verbiage, but looking back on it now, like, we got moved out of the apartment, and they took us to a sober living house, because there was a sober living component of this rehab as well, which, if you guys don't know, sober living is kind of like rehab ish, but you get like your phone back, you can get a job, like you get a little bit more of your freedom back. So they had a sober living component to this program. So they took us to one of those houses. We didn't have a sheet, we didn't have a blanket, we didn't have any of our shit, and we were just there. And honestly, like, it was nicer. Like, it was a house. Like, there was obviously staff in there with us all the time, but they were like, what the fuck are these kids on? Like, I guess we had made jaywalker history, if you will. And so obviously, like, they're drug testing us immediately. I faked the shit out of these first few drug tests because they're not paying too close attention to me, because Jackson had already said, like, yo, it's on me. So they're just like, you know, whatever, you do one as well. And they're like watching Jackson do it. So I just like put some water in mine, dilute it, comes up negative. I'm like, yo, I'm chilling. They're like, oh, okay, weird, but bet. And yeah, honestly, we were just vibing, doing the same shit, watching TV, except now we got to order in food. We didn't get the groceries brought to us, or like the food from the rehab. We got to like order in food. For some reason, they were treating us better here than they were. And this rehab was essentially harboring fugitives. Like, we were wanted by the law at this point. So we were just waiting around to see what was going to happen. I tried valiantly to deny that I had a part in this. Like, I honestly, like, really didn't. They didn't know about the drinking part of it. They didn't really know about anything else. They just knew about the robbing the dispensary part. We were trying to like skirt our way around, like trying to accept minimum responsibility as possible. They were like, why would you like do this? And Jackson was like, I don't know. Like, I just didn't care. Didn't say he was drunk as fuck and like that played part of the decision. No. He just made this ridiculous life-altering maneuver completely lucid, like so crazy looking back on it. I feel like I should have owned up to like the part. I should have just told them that I smoked weed, and I should have been honest, and I probably would have just been like restarted this program if I would have just like owned up to it. But at this point I was so freaked out, and I never had experience with this, to be honest with you. Like, this was some next level type shit that I had found myself in. Eventually I can't fake a test. Like, they're watching me pee, like I can't do anything about it, and so I'm just like begrudgingly like filling this cup up. I hand it to them. They're like, yep, that's what we thought all along. And I was like, fuck. So after this, like, Jackson like sees me like disgruntled coming out, and he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I couldn't fake it, bro. Like, they got me. And he's like, fuck. Well, like, fuck it, you know? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I got some weed like stashed. And I was like, oh, bet. Like, I thought I threw all that shit away. He's like, no, like I knew it was going down. Like, I kept the dab pen. So from here on out, from like, this was like the second or third night that we were in the sober living house. We were there for like a week maybe. The rest of the time we were just getting high. I mean, like, this is ridiculous. We were just like, because it was weird. So the first floor where like the living room, kitchen, all that stuff was where like the staff stayed, and we had our bedrooms like upstairs. I never saw the staff come up there once. So we were just up there like in the bathroom up there, just like chiefing it down, bro. Coming down like eyes red as fuck, like, yo, where's the food at type shit, like fucking Scooby-Doo and Shaggy type stone. It was ridiculous. So we're getting faded for the next few days. They have this bright idea for Jackson to call the dispensary and try and make financial amends for the door. So they're like, yeah, just call them, tell them you did it, and that you want to try and fix it. And he's like, are you sure about that? And they're like, yeah, like, we think it'll work. And so he fucking calls the dispensary, and the guy picking up the phone is like, hey, like, welcome to the dispensary, like, what we're gonna do for you. He's like, I have some information on the burglary. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me patch you through to my manager. And so we get to the manager. He's like, oh, what information do you have? He's like, yeah, hi, I did it. Like, I burgled your dispensary. And they're like, okay. And then he went on this old, like, honestly, it was like an Oscar award-winning spiel. He's like, I'm in recovery. Like, I'm still really early in sobriety. Like, I'm struggling to make the best decisions for myself. Like, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'd love to, like, make financial amends to you guys. Like, get this fixed up so it's, like, equal parties on both. And the lady on the phone was like, yeah, like, I understand it. Like, my sister's in recovery. Like, let me call the owner and see what we can get figured out. And she's like, so what's your name? And he's like, Jackson, his last name. And she's like, okay, cool. Let me write that down, and I'll get back to you. And that's when I kind of knew, bro. Like, first and last name, like, it's over. But the people in the rehab are like, okay, like, that's sounding good. That's sounding good. So we're optimistic, to be honest. Like, we're looking up. We're like, if we can figure out an amicable resolution for this, like, we might be able to get something done here. No contact for 2 days. We're just like, what the fuck is going on? They're telling me not to contact my parents. Jackson has no idea where he's going. Like, we're just kind of in limbo mode here. I have no idea what the fuck is going on. We're just kind of like, I'm also fucking high. Like, we're just kind of like watching TV, like watching these days kind of like go over and over, not leaving the house anymore. Like, shit is just weird, bro. By I think it was like exactly a week that we were in the sober living, we look outside and there's like 5 cop cars parked outside. And I remember Jackson was the one who saw it. He's like, oh, that's not good. And the staff was like, what is it? So many cop cars. And they're like, all right, well, time to go face the music. And I was like, do you want me to come down? They're like, nah, honestly, I don't think we'll need, like, if we do need you, like, we'll call you down. And so I'm just like sitting there, like looking through the window, like watching what's happening, and they're out there talking for so long. And I'm just like trying to like read the body language and see the vibes. And I'm like, is he bro about to get arrested? Like, they're not taking the handcuffs out. Like, what's going on here? And he comes back inside and I'm like, what's the fuck is going on? And he pulls out the like ticket. He's like, 2 felonies, 3 misdemeanors. And I'm like, okay, why aren't you in jail? He's like, well, I told them I still have COVID, you know, and they're having like a problem with the COVID facilities in the jail. And so, you know, I'm just going to get a lawyer, and I guess like I don't have to bond out. And I'm like, okay, that's so weird. Like, I didn't know you could get that lucky with like a felony. Like, I feel like you usually go to jail for that, right? Like, I don't know. So odd. The next day rolls around. Jackson finds out he's getting kicked out. They're like, yo, your parents are willing to send you to this rehab in Texas. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, it's co-ed. And I'm like, damn, fuck it up, bro. Like, that's tight. Like, you know, like when you're in an all-male rehab, bro, like even the idea of women becomes so like alluring. You're just like, fuck yeah, that's my dog. He's getting that shit. Jackson's got his fate decided. He's going to this military style rehab. I didn't know it was this bad until I had gotten like out of my wilderness program and was like able to like search it up on the internet, and was like, this shit looks terrible. Because they like told me like when Jackson left, like, this is not a place that you want to go. Like, be lucky with like what you're getting. Like, feel like you're getting like light compared to this. And I was like, it doesn't sound like that bad. And it's bad, bro. If you guys want to look it up, it's called Burning Tree. That shit is awful. I still don't know what's happening to me though. I mean, it's probably been like 8-9 days that I've been in this fucking sober living house, like harbored from the police. Like, but I didn't get any charges. Like, legally, I'm fine. So, you know, what are we doing here? You know, tell me, guys, what's going on? So eventually they're like, yeah, your parents want to talk to you. Like, they wake me up. Yeah, your parents want to talk to you. I'm like, okay, where? And they're like, in the office building. I'd never seen the office building before. I didn't even know they had an office building. And so I'm like, okay. And that's when I go in. We're going to send you to a wilderness program. I was like, fuck, okay. Like, and honestly, at this point, with like what I saw happen to Jackson and like everything, like I was just happy I was not A, going to jail, and B, like going to a military rehab. Kind of an interlude episode here. Expect more soon. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you could. Let's talk to you later. Peace.